We're Hasani and Pettiford, and we're a real couple with real problems who almost called it quits.
I was very frustrated. I became very disconnected, very jaded and cold.
We have 4 children, going on 20 years of marriage, and we practice what we preach.
Our mission, to change the way couples relate to one another and teach them the skills needed to improve the quality of their relationships. This is the Couples Academy Show.
Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to the Couples Academy Show. My name is Hasani.
And I'm Jeff.
And we're here this morning to talk to you. It is Monday morning, the beginning of a new week. We're excited about what we have in store for you today. We're talking about the topic, men who won't lead, women who won't follow. It is a real thing.
Man,
yeah, it's a real thing.
Somebody's gonna get mad.
Yeah. So anyway, wherever you're dialing in from, we want to know who you are, where you're coming from, what city, state, and country you're representing. Let me just say that this weekend was such an incredible weekend. We had our last chance weekend couples who, actually, this is the first time people literally drove from all over the country. I guess because the flights are just so insane.
Yeah,
people drove from literally
Texas.
Oh, it was just crazy.
Iowa,
all
Illinois,
types of places.
Crazy.
But it was amazing because, it's the transformation that always takes place. We're always like, all right, is this going to work this weekend? Are they going to get it? Are they going to embrace the process? Because they come in just frustrated, upset. There's so much contention, disconnection. And something just always happens.
Something always happens. There was a unique vibe. Well, there's always a unique vibe, but this vibe was different because in the middle, I didn't know how it was actually going to come out. Like we know the system works if people work it, but I just felt like a tension and like there was a breakthrough at the last minute. It's like the last day, everybody came in with smiling faces, warm embraces. They came in this far apart. Now they're on top of each other practically. It's crazy.
It's crazy. So listen, what we want to do is go to a testimonial of one of the individuals that really experienced healing and transformation in a powerful way. So let's go to that and we'll be right back to get started.
Hi, my name is Shawn Olivier and I'm from Louisiana. My husband and I came to Last Chance Weekend because it was definitely our last chance. We were lost in the process. Being here is an experience that I can't really explain. You definitely have to experience it. I was the person that thought they will not get to me. My mind is my mind. It is set. This is how I feel. I will not budge. After the first day, it was pretty tough. It was long hours and it was hard conversations. The next day was a breaking point for me. It showed me how much my husband and I really still loved each other, that there was hope for our marriage. I watched testimonials, I've watched videos, and I did not believe it. I was like, there's no way 3 days is gonna get you to a different point. Believe me when I say that there is hope, that you feel a sense of freedom within yourself and your marriage. I would not trust my well-being, my love, my marriage in any other hands than Couples Academy. That is my truth. They will forever be our family, our friends. I trust them and I do not trust easily. If you are struggling with your own self-doubts, your own self-love, your marriage, get here. It is worth it. It is worth it. It is worth it.
Say something, bro.
I don't
know. You nervous? You uncomfortable?
So I actually had the chance to work with them very closely. And I'm going to tell you right now, sometimes you just form a connection.
Right.
You just feel like you've known those people your entire life. And that's exactly what it was. And I watched her. She was shut down. There's no way. And had a lot of resistance in the beginning. And once she got some of the tools, they realized, and they got really excited about the tools. It's like what they were looking for. It's exactly what they were looking for. And from day 2 on, I mean, you couldn't pull these two apart. At some point, I was like, get a room. Because it really was. It was like they were adorable in a very cute way. It kind of reminds you of what love can be. You know what I mean? So
there it is, guys. And so if you're interested in transforming your marriage, there's many people you can go to, many places you can go, but it doesn't mean that you're always getting the right help from the right ones. And so we've crafted and designed something that is really specific, that leads to transformation and restoration of your life and of your relationship. So reach out to us at couplesacademy.org, set up a discovery call so that we can help you turn your situation around. All right, we're talking about the topic today, men who won't lead and women who won't follow. And I think this is not a new phenomenon. This is something that has been a struggle for quite a long time. You know, I think that because of the shifts in society, I think because of the economy changes, there's been a role reversal, there's been a role confusion. I think there's so many things that contribute to the struggle that couples have in terms of how to properly manage and function a home. I think that women have ideas of what men are supposed to be in marriage. Men have ideas of what women are supposed to be in marriage, and we're not in alignment. It causes issues, and as a result, there's disorder and chaos.
Absolutely. And so there's been a lot of confusion. Socially, there's a lot of things going on. And then media gives us a completely different impression. And then what's happening in our households when we grow up is a completely different thing. So if we look at it, one of the things is that, back in the day, 100 years ago or more, men used to take their sons with them to work. The daughters would do whatever the wife was doing for work. And they were learning hands-on how to move and how to live in society and in the home.
Yeah.
Now what we have is they're going out to the job. No one really knows what they're doing at their job, right? And so when they come home, there's no example given to men. And dad's retreating to the TV to watch ESPN or read the newspaper. And it's been like this for about 70 years. Ever since the 1950s. But TV is showing us this fantasy of the old way of things were done, where families are together and they're playing, they're having fun, and they're doing this. So they're seeing what could be, but they don't know how because they don't have an example in front of them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think the breakdown of the household as well, the high rate of fatherlessness in the home has changed the dynamic. And so now you have many women, and this is a phenomenon that exists across all cultures, all races, all traditions. We just see that the male, in essence, their development has been arrested, and it has forced many women to take on roles that they were never designed to play, but because of survival, they had to. So in many respects, they become the mother and the father. The husband and the wife. They become the domestic and the one outside underneath the hood of a car. They're doing it all. And so you have a young boy and a young girl who sees mommy do everything. So a boy raised in that environment, it may challenge what his role is. He may question what I'm supposed to do. Right.
It's absolutely confusing. So you have the desire as a man to be the person to step up and do things. I've noticed that men who've abandoned their situations actually have a true, real desire to step up, but they just don't have any clues. And then when men are actually willing to take the learning, you have women on the other side who have been in charge for so long.
Yeah.
They don't want to yield because they're afraid of the abandonment issues that they've been experiencing.
Now, one of the books I wrote a long time ago, Why We Hate Black Women and Why We Should Love Them, talks about how there's been such a breakdown of the black family in particular and how it goes all the way back to the plantation where males were considered a threat. And so to protect males from being lynched and killed and used as examples, mothers would suppress the voice and push the boy behind to protect him, right? And then what they would do, they would push the girl out because they were less of a threat to the master.
Absolutely.
And so here, now think about the psychology of that over years where women are pushed out to the front, men are pulled behind to protect them. And for survival purposes, it made sense.
Yep.
But what it did was it created a paradigm in terms of how we think and how we approach life and how we approach relationships. And we're dealing with the remnants of that today.
And I'm going to tell you, because there's a cultural association between that threat is still existent in the world, and you'll see the society as a whole has kind of adopted those same principles.
Absolutely.
And men in general, regardless of race, are getting pushed back because I've noticed men can't find their voice. And when they do find their voice, it's the wrong voice, right? So, and women are being, tough and strong and standing out front and being the defenders and the protectors.
Yeah.
And it's just imbalance.
Yeah.
There's just a strong imbalance.
You're right. I mean, I used to say this all the time. There used to be a time where there was nothing but pretty women and working men. But today we have a whole lot of pretty men and working women. We've switched roles, right? And so these roles, the role reversal has impacted what happens in our home. What happens in society impacts what happens within that household. Our relationship with money determines how we handle money and the leadership of it in a household. You know, I've seen this. Now, think about so many women who are doing well. They're about their business. They're outperforming men. They're out. It's time for a commercial break. Listen, I'm going to make this point as soon as we get back on the other side. Stay tuned. We're going deep. We're going deep. We're going to unpack some things that are really going to give you revelation as to why things may be off in your household and how to get it back on track. You're watching the Couples Academy show. Stay right there. If you're a man and you have a pulse, then you need to join this program. You're a husband. You're a father. You're a leader. You have the weight of the world on your shoulders. You have to be everything for everyone, but do you know who and how to be for you? You're still in search of your own significance. You're in internal battle with your own vices. You're questioning, do I even know what it means to be a man? I know I'm supposed to be there for others, but what about me? The fact is, you need a model. You need a code to live by, a system of principles to govern your life. You need an internal compass to guide your every decision. You need the 4 securities to build your own kingdom. What you need is the Foundry. In short, a foundry is a facility where castings are produced by melting metal, pouring liquid metal into a mold, and then allowing it to solidify. Well, this is where we're testing the metal of men. Foundry is a 12-week men's-only coaching program. It is a brotherhood that will take each man through a purification process of the heart, mind, and soul. We here at Couples Academy promise you that if you give us 12 weeks of your life, you will no longer recognize it. If you care about the improving of your life, your marriage, and your family, register today. That's right, guys. That's Foundry. We're excited about it because we officially start this Wednesday. It is not too late for you. So if you're interested in really stepping up and becoming the man that God has called you to be, stepping into your greatness, if you're ready to step out of the shadows, you need to get involved today. Jeff and I have been leading men across this country for quite some time, and it has had a tremendous impact on how they show up in their homes.
Absolutely. If you're a man and you feel like you can do more, you want to be more, both spiritually, emotionally, physically, or financially, or all of the above, which I usually find is the case, then reach out to us. Come join. Like, we're transforming lives over here. I'm constantly getting feedback from people who've been in the programs for a while and the success. And the crazy part about it is, the feedback isn't just coming from the men themselves talking about how great they've been doing. It's coming from their wives, too. Now, that is a true testimony about the change and transformation taking place in people's lives. But we're talking about men who won't lead and women who won't follow. Listen, the fact is, there are a lot of men who do lead. They lead in the arenas, they lead on fields, they lead on courts, they may lead in the classroom, they may lead on their jobs. But when it comes to the home environment, they do not lead because, I mean, it can be kind of confusing. We as men are supposed to be the head of the home, but in essence, it's usually the wife who manages the household, manages the kids, manages all the things that happens within the home. And a lot of men are busy, they've abandoned their role, their space, or they just don't know where they fit in. They feel like, I don't have domestic skills to be able to contribute. You know, it's just, there's an issue here. And I know exactly what that issue is. A lot of it is because they're acting. In the world, they leave their home and they're pretending. And then they're coming home and it's the only place they feel free to be themselves. And that little self is actually shriveled up, hiding, hurting, angry because of all the things they're dealing out in the world. When you can learn how to be your authentic self at all times and you move and operate and are successful without hyping and without hiding, That's when you get to the truth and you can actually step up and literally make change in the world. And it's mutually beneficial for everyone that you're dealing with. And that's the key, because it has to be authentic. It has to be who you are. When you are finally able to find out who you are and allowed to be who you are and the best version of yourself, you'll find that that disconnect from the real world and the home disappears.
But let's talk about this, right? Because truth be told, there was a time in history where men were known for being brutes. They had strength. They had power. Now we're seeing that there's a lot of men who are just more laid back. They're more easygoing. They're more willing. Talk to her about it.
So if they had to be brutes, let's think about it. I'm moving west, wild, wild west. I've got to be tough. I've got to be on the gun. I've got to be ready to prepare the bear, the mountain lion. The something is going to come take what I've got, raiders and robbers and crooks. So I've got to step up. I'm put in an environment where I have to step up in order to protect and be a part of it. Otherwise, I'm literally dead. Now we live in a world with all these comforts, and we've been through a world where and rightfully so, women are stepping up into roles and being treated equally, finally, in many cases, not enough. But at the same time, men are being told to step back, be calm, be quiet, and if they use their voice, because they've been taught in the wrong way how to use their voice when they're dealing with women, they have just stopped using their voice, as opposed to learning how to be a strong man that complements a strong woman.
Wow, that's powerful. One of the, and I think what you're saying is right, and I think the people here are really resonating with what you're saying. There's a lot of men who did not have an example of a man in the household, right? So they didn't know what role they were supposed to play. So now they enter into adulthood, they get married, and they're like, well, what role do I play? And interestingly enough, one of the challenges, if we're just being honest, they could be with a woman who's more dominant, right? Who has a more assertive, aggressive personality, a more take charge leadership role. And so he takes the back step because he feels like not only am I not confident about my role, I'm not competent in my role, so I'll just let her handle everything.
And that's a disconnect, right? Because we see when there's two strong men in a room, they can get along, they can work it out. There was obviously a bond that pulled that man and that woman together that caused love. There's a bond that pulled, you're a strong man, I'm a strong man, we're sitting here working together.
Yeah.
Why is there a disconnect when it comes to women? And that's because society is giving us images and impressions that tell us we can't do it. And you can do it. You just have to learn the steps. If you have no example, you cannot do what you cannot see. You cannot do what you cannot see. So if you don't see it around you, that's one of the things that these couples, that when they came here, they were like, man, just the vibe in the room. We never see couples interact like this. And the truth of the matter is each of those couples in here were in chaos when they came here. And they, because of the environment that's created here at Couples Academy in Last Chance Weekend, they saw what was possible.
Right.
They are in the chaos and they were contributing to the chaos. But when they have the tools and they take the steps and they do the moves, and when we course correct and we have people that are actually doing it, showing us how to do it, we're all capable of it.
So we're talking about why men don't lead, but let's tap into why women don't follow, or what they won't follow. A lot of times women won't follow because they don't have confidence in their husband's ability. You know, there's a powerful book that I always recommend for couples, and I'm trying to think of the title. It'll come to me in just a second, but it talks about how it's called the superior wife syndrome, and how oftentimes women have taken on this superior role in the household because of their confidence and competence and men's lack of competence, or this whole notion of, I mean, think about it. Chauvinism would suggest that I don't wash dishes, that's a woman's job. I don't mop the floor, that's a woman's job. And so this whole role dynamic in a household, which we're still confused about, is causing men not to fulfill their rightful place in their household. And so that creates dissension and contention amongst spouses, which trickles down into the children and how that household is managed. And so this is why so many women are wearing so many hats, and they get stressed and they get bombarded with all the pressures of life inside the household. And this is why they want to throw in the towel, call it quits, just give up. And the divorce rate is 70 to 97% led and initiated by women because of how things are not effectively being done in the household.
That comes to one core thing. We could talk about all the peripheral that are the results, but if you want to get to something, you get to the root. The root is where the power is. The root is that fact that men are being trained every day to be liars. They're lying they're lying to themselves and they're lying to others. And that's why they don't know, because they're lying to themselves, they don't know that their wife is on the out. The men that come to us typically come to us when the wife has said it's over, I'm out. That's when they come to us. The men are in shock that it's over and they're out. They're in shock because they've been lying to themselves about their true condition. And when you start to lie to yourself about the true condition, the true state of being of your actual self, it's because you don't know yourself. And when you start to do that, when you're lying about that all the time, you have no way to tell the truth to others. So you're lying to yourself, now you're lying to your wife. Now you're pretending at work, but they don't know you. As long as you're getting the job done, you can tell all the lies in the world and it's gonna be okay. So you're coming home, you got this reinforcement of lies, and then when you actually have to look another man in the eye, or you have to look in the mirror. And so what woman in this world is going to want to follow a man like that? No one.
I don't know what more to say other than, listen, we're going to go to this commercial break. We'll be right back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about men who won't lead and women who won't follow. Stay tuned. Unearthed starts this Wednesday. Check out this quick commercial. We'll be right back.
To the wives struggling to move forward, I know that you're hurt, filled with doubt, fear, anger, and resentment. I know you're trying to be your best self throughout this recovery process, all while still having to be mom, daughter, sister, friend, and so much more. I know it feels impossible to be there for everyone else when at times your journey feels so isolated and alone. I know that more than once a day, you scream on the inside, I can't take this anymore. I know there are days when you feel like you want to give up and run away. I know you spend too much time sitting in your car parked in the driveway to get your head right so that you can keep moving. I know this feels like a lot of work with no guarantees. And I know you wonder, what happened to me? Who am I? And why am I here? More than you'd like to admit. I know all of this because I once felt the way you do too. It may not be evident by looking around because we all wear our masks, but you're not the only one who feels like you'll never get back to you. That's why I've launched Unearthed. Unearthed is a 12-week group coaching program focused on discovering the woman within. Just as the earth hides all kinds of precious stones waiting to be found, buried within every woman are the seeds of wisdom, strength, purpose, and passion waiting to be brought to the light. Unearthed will take you through a spiritual, emotional, and physical excavation process that will reveal to you who God designed you to be and guide you through a process to embrace and activate your true identity. When you complete this journey, you'll have a new focus aligned with your core values so that you can begin to feel your life again and discover that your gifts aren't buried, but planted and waiting to be unearthed. Register today.
Hey guys, we're back. You're watching the Couples Academy show. We're talking about men who won't lead and women who won't follow. The chat line is blowing up. We only have time for a few of them, but I'm going to go to a few. I think it was Mary who said, I agree with this all. I feel it's causing a lot of anxiety for both men and women. We're talking about the roles, the role reversal, and the confusion in these relationships. Then Ash says, the women's movement has confused many women on how to be strong, yet still let their husbands lead. I mean, I think there's a lot of truth to that. I think chauvinism, feminism, all of it is isms, which creates nothing but division in a household, and that's a problem. You have so many men and women competing with each other in relationships, unfortunately, and it really impacts the quality of that relationship. Then we have someone who says, Curtis says, fatherlessness homes damage both men and women, possibly women more so. I think it definitely has a huge impact on both men and women. I don't know how we quantify that it's more women, but certainly men are impacted because men lose a sense of identity. They don't know who they are. And if you don't know who you are, then you don't know what you're capable of doing, and you don't walk in the authority, and you don't walk into your destiny because you're missing an important element of your life. I know so many grown men who are in their 30s and their 40s who just don't know who they are. And they were missing the voice of their father that would speak life and purpose and the potential out of them. There's been no manifestation. Because they were missing that. And your identity is everything. And so when a man doesn't have it, it affects his ability to lead. When a woman doesn't have it, it affects her ability to follow somebody who can't be leading him because he doesn't know who he is. And so it just creates a problem.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if you look at it, typically you'll find that people are willing, in the house, sometimes the men, when they're in their best mode, get a chance to lead. They get a chance to sit on that throne and guide the family. But then when they start lying, and then that causes, be sure your sins will find you out, pretty much. You start telling those lies, and eventually you get caught, and then you get caught in another one, and you told a lie to cover that other lie, and then it all unravels, and you go through a crisis, and you find yourself at a bar, a strip club, or wherever you find yourself doing craziness, and you get caught. You may get caught at work. You may get caught doing dumb things, and then you come home, and you find your wife is sitting in the throne because she's holding it together, hoping you're going to get it together.
Wow.
And you haven't gotten it together. And then all of a sudden you decide you had this one experience, you watched this one video, you read this one book, you saw this one seminar, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm a man now. You're not in charge. And you come home and you're like, why can't I get my power and authority back? Well, you ain't proven yet, bro. You got to get it together. Like, you got to show consistency, and you've got to be honest. And getting down to being able to tell the truth. We say a man that has a man with nothing to hide hides nothing. When you're hiding your feelings and emotions from your wife, when you're hiding your thoughts and ideas and plans from your wife, when you're hiding your goals and dreams from your wife, how can she get on board? You haven't even given her a presentation of what you're trying to do, and you're expecting her to just go along with you because you're a man. It's not going to happen.
And you know what? You were talking about how men lie. And so I'm thinking to myself, I know a whole lot of men who lie, but then I know a whole lot of men who have integrity and who stand on truth. But I think what you're taking it deeper. You're saying your inability or your refusal to reveal your true heart, your emotions, your thoughts is given a false impression, which is a cousin of a lie.
Yes. That's it. See, men have to admit that there's a deep feminine side to us that we cry too. That we have needs, emotional needs too.
Dude, women, if you don't know, if you think your man is a robot and an android and have no feelings, you are mistaken. Because when men get alone in their own social space, when I tell you they cry on each other and they lean on each other, because in your presence, they feel like they don't have an opportunity to vent. They can't be weak. They have to be strong. They have to represent whatever idea or image you have of a man that they have to measure up to. And so there are weaknesses and faults and flaws and vulnerabilities and all types of things that men are struggling with, and they need somewhere to go to release it so that they could become the best versions of themselves so that they can step into their greatness. Now, I totally agree that men lie when it comes to that. Baby, what's wrong? Nothing. You sure? Nothing. I can see something's wrong with you. I'm good. Everything's all right. I'm strong. I'm going to get through it. You don't need to worry about it. And they are lying to you because they are lying to themselves. But once you realize that your authenticity is the key to your transformation, you begin to worry less about what other people think about your idiosyncrasies, faults, and flaws.
And that authenticity begins with integrity, having an honest conversation with you about you in all four quadrants of your life. You got these men walking out in the world, and I'm telling you, they are being submissive and weak and the worker and being told what to do by people all the time. And then they come home and want to be strong. They come home and want to be strong. And there's a lie and the confusion of that. And it needs to get mixed up. Now, you can walk in the world and tell your truth, and it's just no one knows how. Like, you can tell your boss he's wrong, but you can't do it the way you were taught to do it. You have to learn how to present options and other alternatives that look better that they can take credit for, because your boss is always looking for that. You can also do the same thing in the home. You know, your wife's standing there and she goes, hey, baby, this is a lie. This happens. All you men do it. I've done it. Wife goes, does this dress look good on me? And you're like, yeah. And in your mind, you're saying no, but that's a fundamental lie. Mm-hmm. But that's because you don't want to participate and learn how to participate. I can tell my wife that dress is not looking good by simply being like her girlfriends do it and saying, hey, babe, that's okay, but have you seen this one, and this one? Put those together. When you wear that, that's like amazing. And that takes a little bit of learning and sensitivity, because you have to know your wife to pull that off.
And you have to know how to communicate.
Exactly.
And so many men struggle in this particular area, maybe because they had an example of a man in their household who didn't say anything. And the only time he did say something, you know, every now and then is out of frustration or out of anger, or he was very one-wordy. He didn't really articulate. You know, as they say, women speak in paragraphs, men speak in bullet points. And so we learn through observation and participation. So women are always chatting and connect. And men, their silence is their strength. And so we model these bad behaviors thinking that represents manhood and womanhood, and we play it out in our adulthood, what we would observe in our homes, and don't realize that it's having a negative impact on our relationships.
Look at the dangerous euphemisms that men are given. Walk quietly and carry a big stick, right? Mm-hmm. That doesn't work in a relationship.
No.
That works with an enemy.
Yep.
We're walking around treating our wives and our friends and our workers that we're dealing with like they're enemies. Walk quietly and carry a big stick. You do that when you're in danger.
Yeah. So I think there needs to be a re-education when it comes to both our men and our women on what it means to walk in your greatness. And that's why we have the Foundry program. That's why we have Unearthed. And that's why you need to sign up and get involved today. Guys, we appreciate you tuning in this morning. Hope it was helpful and gave you some insight on how to begin to step into your greatness. You're watching the Couples Academy show with Hasani and Jeff. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.